Hey everybody, Ken again. A couple of days ago, I made a video outside. I had seen the sun coming up through a patch of blue sky, so I ran outside and made a video about how restoring to my soul springtime is, and some thoughts from Psalm 23. And then last night, I had a friend make fun of me because I had been out there zipped up in my jacket, and the day just got cloudier and darker, and it's been raining the last 2 days, and this is definitely springtime in Maine. This is what we go through. But the sun is still shining in my heart. You know, the darkness outside and the weather kind of reflects the mood that we're all going through right now. We're being asked to stay home now, and I'll be doing that as well. This will be the last time I'm in my office for a while. But I want to encourage you with a couple of thoughts from Psalm 23. In verse 4, David says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death," this is a time of great darkness in life, he says, "I will fear no evil, for your rod and your staff, they comfort me." So David is reflecting on the times in life when we walk through an experience of great darkness. And, you know, some people fear death, but there's almost a greater fear than that, which is the fear of the shadow of death. It's walking through a time of uncertainty and darkness where we don't know what's coming at us out of the darkness. We know that death is closing in all around us. And there's that fear of what could happen to us, to our loved ones. And all of us walk through times like that. Right now, we're all walking through that together. And so David said, as he walked through that time, he confidently says, "I fear no evil." How can he say something like that? Well, he says the reality that the Lord was with him reduced his fear. You know, as we look around us right now, different people are experiencing fear in different ways. And you just see a huge difference between the people whose faith is in God, that God is going to walk with them through this time. And maybe it's a time of darkness, but their trust is in who God is. The Bible talks about how God sees the darkness even as light, that to him there are no dark places. Even the darkness is as light to him, and even the night is as bright as day, it says in another psalm. That when God, who is the one who spoke into the darkness and said, "Let there be light," and there was light. When that God is walking with us through times of darkness and uncertainty, we don't need to fear anything. He's in total control. And as long as he's walking with us, we have nothing to fear. The idea of being in the shadow of death is actually an illustration or an image that's used all through the Old Testament of times of suffering and pain and uncertainty. Down in Isaiah chapter 9, that's a chapter all about God sending Messiah, the person who would come to us, sent by God to establish peace, to drive away the darkness, to establish justice in our world. And it says there that when Messiah comes, it would be like for those that are living in a land of darkness, that the light has shined on them. And for those, it says, living in a land of the shadow of death, on them a light has dawned. That's what it's like when Messiah comes to us. The Apostle Paul, later on, reflecting on how Jesus has come to us as God in the flesh, God the Son has come to us, and he says, the God who said, "Let light shine in the darkness," has shone in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. When we see Jesus, we see the God who is filled with grace and truth, and he has been revealed to us in a way that just drives away the darkness, drives away the insecurity, that God has reminded us we're not in this alone. He has remembered us, and he has sent Messiah to bring us peace as he walks through these experiences together. Because Jesus is the one who actually walked not just through the valley of the shadow of death, but then he walked through death itself, experienced that for you and me. and then came out on the other side victorious. He was raised from the dead, and that makes all the difference. He has demonstrated that there is no fear in death, that if we are walking with God through that time, we will come out on the other side victorious if our faith is in him. So during times like this, we fix our eyes on Jesus. Some might see a time like this as just another example of how God is either uncaring or not in control, that there's chaos all around us, and this disease that's coming our way. And why would God let bad things happen to good people? Well, David reflects on the fact that as the Lord is walking with him through the valley of the shadow of death, he sees in God's hand his staff and his rod. And these could be seen as tools of discipline. A shepherd would use these to correct a straying sheep and bring him back to the right path. But David realizes, as a shepherd himself, these were also tools of protection. So when we look at Jesus and see that he has come and in his hands are the fullness of grace and truth, that these are the tools God uses in our life, sometimes to correct us, but they're there to bring us back to the path of righteousness, the path of life, the right path with God, and he restores our souls there. But they're also tools of protection for us during times like this, so that when we see who God is and recognize him in the face of Jesus Christ, that we have no reason to fear the darkness. He's going to walk with us through this time. And so even if death comes, it's not the end. Jesus has been raised from the dead, and for all of us who trust in him, we have that same hope for our future. So I want to encourage you with that. Whatever kind of fear you're experiencing, the fear of death or just the fear of the shadow of death and what could come at us out of this darkness, look to God who said, "Let light shine in the darkness," and there was light. There are no dark places to him. He knows exactly what you're going through, and he's inviting you to walk with him through this time with your eyes fixed on Jesus. So I encourage you to do that, and God bless you this weekend.